hi, Ryan. How are you today?
Hey, Danielle. Doing awesome. Living the dream. How you doing?
I'm good. So Ryan is a fellow Cisco employee. He decided to be on the Motivity podcast, partly because I begged him to be on the podcast. No, but he also has a very interesting job here at Cisco where he is in the front lines of establishing, these enterprise software agreements that our customers buy that are confusing, that are hard to explain. And Ryan is tasked with simplifying them, helping customers understand what they're buying, and also getting benefit from them, and probably also like helping them understand why it's beneficial for the customer, not only for Cisco, but for them. So, hi, Ryan. Thanks for being on the Motivity podcast.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. So, Ryan, tell us just a little bit about your role inside Cisco right now. What are you doing? Maybe a recent trip that you took because it was kind of cool. I heard about it, and also like just kind of tell us like why you love your job and what you do every day. So take it away, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm the worldwide security software sales specialist here at Cisco. We have a handful of people on my team that cover the globe. So we are the experts when it comes to security EA specifically and all the technologies there. So I cover all of Canada, but I also cover all of America's service provider, which is North America and South America in that perspective. And then now I cover all of APJC. So that is, where it's Japan, Australia, China, you name it, every country over there. So
Ryan, how do
I
you
don't
find
sleep
time to
much.
sleep? I was just going to say, you're going from Canada to APAC, but you did mention something that not maybe everyone is familiar with is service provider. So just explain what that means in our business because we are a manufacturer. So what does it mean as a service provider, and how does that come into our business ecosystem?
So Cisco has separated out certain kind of groupings, right, for how we designate customers and what they do. So we like to make sure that there are specialized teams that are specific to service providers. So the service providers can be anything from Meta to Oracle to any kind of like telecommunications companies out there.
Like a
You name the
Verizon,
fact that they
right?
don't Verizon, like they don't sell a particular product per se. They mainly hone in on services, right? And they have a large network that they put their customers on. So that's probably the easiest way to
Got it.
describe it.
And do they sell for us, Ryan? So are they a selling arm of
Sometimes,
Cisco? Okay. And so
yeah,
are you also empowering them and educating them on EAs or
yeah.
so are
I definitely try to when we get a hold of the right teams and there's the right timing for it. Yes, we do that. I specifically do that because, of course, that's how you scale.
got it. So tell us, obviously, how did you get into technology? How long have you been at Cisco? Give us like the fun stuff and give us some fun stuff about you, Ryan.
The long history, but I'll try to sum it
Yeah.
up pretty simple. I mean,
Keep it simple. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
hey, I just, my family just recognized what was the things that I was interested in or doing well, and I had a passion for. And so I first built my computer in the early '90s. Went into software programming even before college. Went into electrical engineering in college, and sort of went down the track of again computer programming. Noticed again that there was a highlight in my history here where I ended up developing the first epidemic modeling program for Homeland Security. So they took that and was able to help the United States sort of assess how much funding and taxpayer money should go into first responders and other kinds of programs to prevent an epidemic from happening or mitigate it, right? And we're all familiar with that now, but that's been sort of a reality to me since 2004 that this was going to happen. But then, afterwards, went to New York, ended up working on Wall Street at Deutsche Bank, and then in technology, and just sort of expanded from there. There was a lot of where programming, things like that. But then I realized for job security, I was like, I want to go with the stuff that I see mounted on the walls, and I know
Or the mountains
software
of
security.
boxes.
Right? Yeah, it's just like that. They can't send your job overseas if the stuff is here for you to work on. So I was like, okay, I got to make a shift from so much of the computer programming to now something that's tangible here. And that's when during the recession, I ended up doing 5 certifications. So I already had my bachelor's degree in computer science, but I also ended up getting 5 certifications at Cisco.
Wow. I did
And
not
then
know
it
that.
just sort of expanded.
I'm like, I don't even
I'm a
think I
little bit
have
of a
one
geek.
certification. Maybe I should start working on that. But it's fine.
it was it was helpful. It was
Yeah.
helpful, but they're very tough. And so I ended up working for internet service providers and eventually for the customers. And I was building out the infrastructure, taking the old way of doing things, applying the new way we're doing it. Like with Cisco, I was big in collab on the customer side. But then, each time I was either at one of the internet service providers and I did something there, or on the customer side, Cisco was really impressed with
Yeah.
what I was doing. So there was 2 times that they asked me before I got into this role that they asked me to join, and both times there was something occurred that couldn't allow for a new hire to come on board. But finally, the third time was a charm,
Nice
and then
job, man.
that's when I got in here, and it was sort of funny because even a director at one of our customers was also interviewing, and I was in the lobby with him. So once I got the job, I
That's
go to
so
realize
funny.
I'm covering his account, and then I went to go see him 2 weeks after getting it. And as we were walking out of the meeting, he slowly closes the door before I could walk out. He's like, "So how's Cisco?"
So Cisco is a great place to work, as you know. I think a
Yeah.
little bit of insight, right? You're seeing a great manufacturer that a lot of companies in the world use, and someone that, a company that is reliable, right? Let me ask you this. Did you like
Oh my
being on the
God.
customer side, or do you like being, and on the manufacturer side, AWS is a manufacturer, Microsoft, Juniper, like the list goes on, VMware, these are all manufacturers, but and I just want to give insight into what we define as a manufacturer space. HP, Dell, EMC, those are all manufacturers. But what do you like better, being on the customer side or the manufacturer side?
So I do like being on the manufacturing side quite a bit. However, it is key, I think, that people need to go through these motions of learning what it's like to be actually in the shoes of the customer.
You're right.
You become much more sympathetic. You end up becoming a lot more where you can put yourself in their shoes when you're trying to do a deal, right? And you really can call out a lot of things when you're on these internal meetings and say, that's not going to fly. That's not something that the customer is going to really like, because I was one. I know what it's like. I want to be treated a certain way when going through these deals. And only if I'm happy with this deal, well, I know then the customer will be happy.
It's such an interesting point of view, because I think as salespeople, we're always trying to find out, what are the buying habits of the customer, and it alludes to that point, like, how do they buy? How do they get projects approved? Like, you kind of have to go through that methodology. I mean, you really try to figure out who the players are internally, but that's a lot of what we do, is trying just to figure out, how does this get done? I mean, if you like the product and you want to buy it, but what does your procurement say? What do they see, right? How does that affect spend, or when do you get budget, or so on and so
Or
forth?
or
Yeah,
even understanding how do you implement these projects, right? So
thousand
after
percent.
you buy, I noticed that like a lot of account teams don't know about that. There's change controls that need to be implemented by the customer, saying that, hey, I got to put in a request for upper management to have this done on
Good
Christmas
point.
because that's the
Good
only
point.
window that we have. And so you got to understand, that where they're coming from and the pressure that they get and the dynamic of how they have to work. If you
Right.
get that, then you try to work with those motions, knowing that that's how they typically do things each year, and then when you can actually talk to them, or you're bothering them because they're already busy doing the stuff that they need to get
Right,
done, right?
right. And customers have change windows, and they're not always able to implement new technology. And there's a whole processy and development side to that part of it. Like, they could only take on a certain,
Yep.
there's only so many teams and so many people and so many platforms and so many applications. The list goes on and on and on. But we could go down a little bit further. I brought you on today, though, to talk about what is our security EA? First of all, what products are included in it, right? But why is an EA important to clients, and why are they buying it? Why are they investing the money that way? Because it is a different way to buy. I personally, in my personal life, buy a ton of, I think of EAs, but I buy a lot of subscription based offerings. I like them. It's a set price. It controls my bottom line. There's no There's no extra costs at the end of the month, but that's the way I like to see it. Not every customer likes it, right? So talk to us. What is an EA? What does it mean to buy an EA? Where does this terminology? Where did this come from? Like, why are we putting stuff in the cloud? Ryan, I don't even understand what I'm buying half the time. Help us here. No, so like Ryan said, it's a security EA that he specializes in. But we're going to talk high level. What a EA means when you buy from Cisco. So just kind of give us that 1,000-foot view. Why do I even need an EA?
So enterprise agreements are a contract that you have with Cisco that says you're willing to go ahead and work with us on multiple technologies. And we're here to solve solutions, solve the problems that may require multiple products, right? And we're moving away from just selling an individual product and talking about those features and things. And now we want to talk about your business use cases and objectives, but how do we bundle that together, right? So you can
How do we bundle that
like sometimes, I feel like flow sometimes, from Progressive. It's funny that, it's all of a sudden we're talking about bundling together, and there's certain benefits. I mean, we have our investors and our executives have said, listen, if a customer is willing to really commit with us on multiple of these things, and they're already doing it today, they just don't realize it, our customers, then we should reward our customer for being our customer and working with us and implementing these solutions as an actual solution, not just as a product, right? So with that being said, I love the idea here of what we're doing and have been practicing right now for the past 5 years at least, where we started off with the 1.0 kind of EA where we can give something like a little bit of everything to the customer all at once, but then we realized maybe they don't want everything. And then we went through this evolution of doing a 2.0 version where it's more like a menu. You pick and choose what you want. And that's where all the other silos of Cisco sort of said, hey, we really like this concept that security is doing. Let's do the same thing. And that's where we have security, data center, enterprise networking, and collaboration are really your four primary high level. There's some that tend to be like a one-off on the side, like Meraki could be part of the enterprise agreement, but it's got its own enterprise agreement, right?
Much,
so not compliment it too much, but
how does a client stay up to speed though, on what is included in the EA? Like if you're a client and you're just kind of like, oh, let me go back to, what's in my EA? Is there, do you recommend them going to our website? Is there a portal? Like where can they just read about what licensing is included in the EA? Do you have any insight into that?
So I would say that there's always keywords. When you work at Cisco long enough, I can search for anything on the web so quick and know where to find. So the keywords, I would say not just with enterprise agreements, pretty much any kind of product that we have. Make sure you put in the product and say ordering guide, right? You will find the ordering guides for what are the SKUs, what's in it, what are the features, what are the add-ons maybe to this particular technology as well. But there is an EA ordering guide out there, definitely on the web.
That's a great idea.
That is definitely on the first page. Always use that keyword. Trust me on that, right? The other keyword could be data sheets. Those are really the two primary things that you always put down for, to find out anything you want on those details, right?
So Ryan, you spoke about clients, having already purchased a ton of products, right? So let's say I'm a client and I have 4, 5 products that I've already bought through Cisco. Why would an EA benefit me? What are the high level benefits of that agreement, that help me from a business standpoint?
That's a great question. So really the key thing here is first understanding where the customer lives today, and then you'll understand why going to EA is so good. So today you have customers, they have multiple products from us, and they keep on having to renew them at different times of the year. It's not co-term. They may have to circle back from working on a project at their site, and then all of a sudden they're realizing, oh crap, there's another renewal coming up, and they have to keep doing this tedious work that's not really what they signed up for as their job. So what this enables them to do is, let's co-term all this together, okay? So let's take a look at everything that you have, let's bundle it together, and let's see what kind of benefits we can give you around that. Now, that's something where you definitely, if you're listening to this, you right now, you want to write this down and say, I got to find out who my account manager is at Cisco. Not even always your partner. You want to develop that relationship with Cisco and your partner, not just one way or another. Get everybody involved. Ask the question, hey, I would love for you to go ahead and take a look at everything I got with Cisco right now. Let's see what we can do to co-term this so we have like a single date of co-terming everything and renewals. And let's see what the benefits come out to be. Now, each silo that we described before can have different benefits. When it comes to security EA, you're talking about you can get 20% free growth to whatever you had initially in the original EA. So say it's 1,000 licenses, you're going to get 1,200.
Now, is
right?
there a
With
minimum
no additional
spend
cost.
there, though, Ryan? Isn't there like a minimum threshold the client has to meet, which is usually for enterprises,
Yeah,
it's pretty low, right? Or if it's 50,000
it
or
can be. I guess it
100,000.
depends on. Yeah, it depends on your the customer size. Yeah, it's like it's 100,000 to the partner.
Okay.
Typically is what we say. If it's with services, it's we tend to see it's 115,000 to the partner is the minimum there. And we also have to have 2 or more products. Those
Okay.
are typically the 2 kinds of scenarios that we got to watch out for.
Ryan, how many products do we have in our security EA? How many are included at this point? And so,
We keep
just so you
adding.
guys know, like anyone listening, I'm an account manager, so I lean into the specialist for this type of information, right? So I'll pitch high level to clients or I'll talk high level. But when I start getting into, hey, the bits and the bytes, this is where I really lean into Ryan. So, Ryan, how many products do we even have in our EA? Just from a security standpoint, I don't even know how many products. 7, 8, 8? Is that a good guess?
So for right now, we have 22.
Oh my God, I went so low. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
and they're divided up between what we have qualified suites, optional suites, and this is the kind of stuff that you'll see a breakdown when you actually talk to your account team and all. But right now we have 15 qualified suites. When it's a qualified suite, that gives you the 20% free growth, and they also the more you bundle of those, that sometimes it allows the account team to get a better discount automatically in the portal, right, for you. That's something that gets passed down to you. So this, just by you asking to have your stuff put into EA, you're actually helping the account team possibly get better pricing for you, right? Now, with that also being said, another big key thing that's hard for us to articulate sometimes is the price protection. Price
It is.
protection,
That's a
think
big
of it
one.
as yeah, it's huge because you're talking about the fact that you're locking Cisco in at whatever prices that they have today, right? For the next 3 or 5 years. I mean,
It's
you
kind of like
think about
similar
that,
to your
5 years.
mortgage rate, right? So when you lock in the rate, that's your rate. I mean,
Yep.
you're kind of, you're locking it in for 30 years or 15 years, whatever you choose. It's a very similar process. You're locking us in because, as you know, there's inflation, there's things that happen in the world, and we have increases just like everybody else, right? This is
Yeah.
more expensive, that's more expensive. So Ryan's point, we're saying, hey, we're going to fix that part of the cost that you buy from us for the next 3 or 5 years. You're getting ahead of that cost structure moving forward within, your organization, which could be to that point, Ryan, a huge benefit for that person structuring the EA to their business executives, right? Or to the board
Oh,
members
yeah.
or to procurement, right? That's a big benefit because you're like, oh no, look what I
Oh,
did. Look how much money I saved you because I locked into this EA agreement.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So all these years, we never really seen the dollar ever go down. We always see it that
Oh,
it
right.
keeps
They
on,
never say,
there's
hey,
always inflation,
oh,
right?
wait, what has
So,
anything become less expensive? Oh, God, everything's becoming
yeah,
more expensive. That's a good point,
yeah.
Ryan. Right.
This is a great idea for the fact that if you want to lock Cisco in for 5 years, right, then you're talking about every single license that you currently have in your agreement will be locked in at that price. So if you want, like you got some firewalls and you want to get the same model and expand on that some more, you can get the same price as what it was, like say 3 years ago, right, when you first started the EA, which that because of inflation and other kinds of things, we're increasing our license price by 5 to 10% every year, and that's a huge savings, right?
So go into
Um,
that for a second. So it's increasing because we're putting more intelligence into that license. So So from our point of view, you're
Yep.
getting more from that license, and we're adding more features and functionalities because it's a SaaS software product. The part that we can't fix, which we know, is the product side. We can't control cost on the product side, but we
Yep.
can control now a portion of that, of your overall cost of the service and the product of the service. And this is
Absolutely.
outside of SmartNet too. I'm not going to really
Yep.
complicate it too much, but this is, so let's put SmartNet in its own little category. This is just the intelligence that, and it's the software that runs on that device. Or yes.
Yeah, let's clarify that, right? Like, so when customers buy, there's typically three things that they always buy from Cisco. They get the hardware, they get the software, and they get the support,
Yeah.
right? So when we're talking about EAs, let's take a step back there. We're only talking about the support piece.
Yes.
We're not talking about really the operating system and such. That all comes with the device, and you'll usually see that as a $0 line item anyways. But
Correct.
when you're talking about that you need to enable some kind of higher feature or tier in the licensing that enables you to have now malware intelligence or something with URL filtering. I keep on going back to these firewalls, but like this is the kind of stuff we're talking about that you're locking in, and they're pretty expensive. They're pretty expensive, just like the hardware, right? So you're talking about at least half of your entire purchase is the software itself, and that's what you're locking in here.
Right. And we're developing that software too. We're always, expanding and building more features and functionality into that license. So as we're growing that product line, so are you. So, if there's vulnerabilities or something happens, we're pushing those releases out right away. So there's a lot of, I see a ton of benefit, especially with security.
It's like your grandfather did in a little bit, right? So you bought that particular license tier, and if they decide to upgrade that or add some other things because we acquired another company and now they're injecting that intelligence from that particular product now, you got it, right? Because it fell in line with the same tier that you had already bought. So we see that a lot of times where they're just, our customers are getting notifications that they got, more stuff that's now added into their product.
What about terms?
So,
give us an idea about terms or other, maybe just little pieces that a customer should think about, and I think the account team always tries to educate the customer as much as they can, but obviously a customer's kind of steer the conversation also. So what other pieces should they think about? Obviously term, cost, renewal date, obviously we have a year end. So sometimes when you buy in June, it's a good time, hint, hint, So what other little tips and tricks can we tell our clients?
Well, so this is what's great. Like me going from being a customer to going into now the manufacturing side, I get to see what happens when we order these SKUs, and we get to see that Cisco automatically, just like any other company, when you end up having a 1-year SKU that you're selling, is way more expensive than if you multiply it by 3 and give a customer a 3-year SKU. We're basically giving you a big built-in discount automatically into that, right? So a lot of times we tend to see 6 months to a year is basically built in for free just because you went 3 years. And now the EA ends up having where it's anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Now you get that kind of built-in discount already, but there's also within the EA, you're getting some additional discounting that can get applied. Majority of the time, yes. If you're a customer that's already getting such extreme discounts already, and we had to go to Chuck Robbins, Uncle Chuck, ask permission,
Uncle
then maybe
Chuck does not want to hear from us today. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but it's always great. I mean, our executives love talking with customers, right? We want to know what they want, what's going on, what's the new thing that everybody's asking for. So that's what we love about all of our leadership, that they work for us, the people on your account team, and they try to help us with a lot of these deals too. And it's very much a different culture. So that's certainly why I love working.
Right. As customers listening, lean into us, ask for, someone who's the specialist for this, or you want to talk about this, we're here. We want to meet with you, I think, constantly. Ryan, tell us a little bit, and I'm going to go to this point, and we talked about this previously, customers are buying from Cisco. What makes it difficult though on our side? We showed the customer, oh my God, we got this great pricing and all this is done and blah, 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 blah. And then we're like, but you didn't realize what just happened behind the scenes. So maybe help the customers
Yeah.
understand a little bit. And I don't want to say it's tough because this is our job and we always get it done. But there's still operational, BUs that own product lines, and there's still pieces of this that we're bringing together because we
Yeah.
didn't develop all this technology. We're incorporating this technology. So kind of give insight into that a little bit. I think it's important for, people to
Yeah.
understand. Yeah. We
Yeah.
make it look easy, right?
So yeah, we do, and we try to shield a lot of this from you guys. It's so think of us as like the Star Trek Federation. It's
Oh,
we
okay.
end up
Star Trek.
having where yeah, I'm going nerdy on you. I am a nerd at heart here, but the fact is that think about it is that we're a federation that has a bunch of different cultures. They all speak different languages, but they like to work together
Yep.
and they find ways to strengthen one another. But they're still going to have their differences at times too, right? And so just like the United States, I mean, we just have everybody in the world trying to work together. It makes us stronger, but we also have our differences, right? So this is the kind of stuff that we see, especially when we're trying to bundle things together and we're putting it all. We need to have enough runway with you guys to get down exactly what are the quantities. We can't have that keep changing on us last minute, right? Because once that changes, we got to run it through all the different BUs again, get everybody happy. Everybody's got it. So it's key for the fact that we think of things sort of backwards. You say, hey, okay, I got to tell Cisco I need to have this stuff on X date, right? But I know in my company it takes me 3 to 4 weeks to go ahead and get those things processed, right? The PO signed, and maybe the legal document needs to be signed, right? So especially with the enterprise agreement. So now I'm like, okay, that's a month out that I need to receive these things from Cisco. Now, how long does it take Cisco to come up with that? Well, we got to make sure that even though we check our systems to see what kind of stuff you have, we want to verify with you. And maybe you have another project or something else that causes the numbers to be different. And we need to know 6 months out, what are you looking at doing, right? And we need to put that into this EA if you're going to be growing beyond this, right? So all of that should be put together like 2 weeks before we can get you the PO and have all that over because, again, there's so many
It's
different
a good
layers of
point.
people and different groups,
That
that we got
PO
to go to.
processing
And then,
time. Right. We still have to
oh, it is,
process. We have to internally process, book the order. Oh, get the SO numbers.
we
The
got to work with
partner's got to
finance.
oh God, yes. Oh wow.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
partners and things like that. We got to make this a win-win-win across the board. And those first two wins, Cisco and the partner, take the longest. But we really, at the very end there, once we get you the PO, that's the win for you guys. That's it. So, we want to work with you. Think of us, we're all working as a single team. We're in the same boat together, rowing in the same direction. And the sooner that we get to that, say 6 months out, just give it plenty of time because you never know what else happens in between then. Start talking about this. Start tasking Cisco with, say, hey, you know what? I love the idea. I saw this on Danielle's podcast that ends up having where we have this EA do the work for me and come back to me and say, this is what we found. And then let's critique it. Let's modify it to be exactly what I want as the customer for this to be. Now, we can't change the benefits, but we're going to go ahead and end up,
But we could
definitely
change the
talking to you more
structure.
about the change the structure, right? Like what
Right.
kind of product? Learn what else is in there because a lot of times I start to show a customer one of the slides that has those like all those products in it, and they go, "Wow, I had no idea you did email there." And I was like, "Yeah, have you heard of Ironport?" They were like, "Well, yeah, of course. I've used Ironport in all the other companies I was at before." I'm like, "Yeah, it's with Cisco." Now, I didn't know it was with Cisco. I don't know how many times I heard that one, but
Well, it's
there's a
hard to
lot of these
educate. I
products.
think it's funny. I had a client ask me, "It's like, how do you stay up to speed on all this?" We're like, we try our best. Like, there's not a, I guess there's not, a playbook that says, "Hey, Mr. Customer, you should read all these updates." It's more based on the account team to give you all the updates and then try to then, cultivate what you want to buy, which is very hard because who knows what you want to buy? You want to buy it all, I think. But right
Yeah,
to that point, like it's a difficult process. So I guess some of the first meetings you have is just education, right? Hey, let's educate you.
absolutely.
Let's show you everything that you could include. And then you kind of dwindle that down or, you break apart pieces or maybe you add in another layer or, I mean, it could go a multitude of ways. So I don't even try to
Yeah,
figure that part out. I just try to help the customer understand what they're buying and what they want to buy and what's the also the most beneficial for the client going and looking 2 years, 3 years out, because to your point, you are, locking in that price, right? You're protecting yourself against inflation.
absolutely. And this one of the things here is like, yeah, we could just take all the stuff you have and try to bundle it together. But I think part of that conversation should be also, what are you trying to achieve
Yeah.
at your business, right? Like, what
Yeah,
are
that's a
your
good point.
executives hounding you to do? And so all of a sudden we may be like, well, if you want to complete that solution, though, you may need to incorporate a Duo. And so I have customers who had no idea that Cisco acquired Duo, right? So we'll be like, well, we got to also consider that because the business use case requires X, Y, and Z products to actually fulfill that business use case, right? And we'll step that through with you. So you may discover that there could be an extra product or something that you did not realize that you say, oh, you know what? That's good. That's a good point. I need to look at, let's get a POV. That's what you should definitely ask if you're a customer next. Demand that you get that POV going, test it out, put us through the ringer, and get everything that you need out of that. All your, make a success list, right? Say, hey, here are the things that I need to acquire from or have achieved through with Cisco on this POV for me to say, you know what, this is definitely something I want to go ahead and buy. If we don't pass those check marks, I think it's only important that Cisco realizes your account team goes, you know what, we care about your business. We care about the fact that we are delivering something that is actually going to work for you. And if this isn't, then don't worry about it. We can
Right.
talk about the other stuff, right?
And the nice thing,
So,
oh, yeah. I
yeah,
was just going to say one other piece which is interesting. We all use the same, when customers buy the product side, we all use the same pricing tool. It's a CCW tool. Every partner in the US, globally uses this tool. If you have that
yeah,
EA in place, no matter what partner you procure from, you could always grab your licenses. So that's a very key piece because there's different discounting that partners charge or want to charge or margin, right? And so if your licensing is already solidified, you don't have to worry about that piece in any partner. Any partner, doesn't matter who you procured through, doesn't matter who you purchased through, they can pull down your licenses and apply it to your deal. And I think that's a big benefit that we probably always don't think about, talking about
yeah.
sometimes. I know. And it just kind of dawned
So
on
that's more
me.
of an operational, right?
Right,
Like that's the
right.
operational expense that people don't realize. So I know as a customer, I used to have to go ahead and say, okay, well, I have this product already, or maybe I need a new product, but my executives are saying, hey, we just acquired this new company, and we need you to get this completely, with all of our stuff in the next month. And then I look at them like they're crazy. Are you kidding me? You know how long it takes just to get a circuit in there? I'm like, I need to go ahead and end up getting all these licenses. I mean, and then we have to get it approved, right? So what's beautiful about this is that you get to bypass that whole aspect of having to go through your procurement every time and wait for all this stuff and for the partners in Cisco. Instead, when you have an EA, you just go to your EA workspace, which we call the EA WS, and you go into, and by the way, that's on your software.cisco.com portal. You just go into there, log
And
in your
it's just
CTO
like a
ID, and
file
you'll see it
system.
there.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
whole
it's a concept,
file.
and
Yes.
you just go ahead and say, hey, listen, I need to procure some more licenses. Within 24 hours, you'll see it in your smart account, and you're off on the races right there, just going ahead and start deploying ICE or Duo or Kenna and all these other kinds of products to the new acquired company that you just found out yesterday got acquired by your company, and now you're off like that week going, okay, not a problem. I got the stuff. I can get it right now, and we can start to work on this. So
And remember, there's an
I don't
ROI in
like
that too,
you know,
Ryan. Remember, like the
yeah,
client is also spending, whether it's email security or something else in other manufacturers. So there could be even a further cost savings if you wanted to look at, competitive spend with other companies. So that's also
yeah.
could affect the
It's
bottom line. So there's a lot. I mean, listen, there's a lot of benefits to this.
Yeah, there's a lot of aspects to think about this because it's totally a new kind of concept about how your relationship with Cisco and your partner is at this point.
Yeah.
And we took a lot of the things that our customers have been saying for so many years that has been holding up their projects, delaying things, and making stuff get pushed out. Now we don't want to be the reason for why any of your stuff gets pushed out. Let that be something else, like that circuit I said that needs to get installed for the fiber that could take 2 months. That's your reasoning. Now
Right.
we're
Worry
not that
about
problem.
that stuff, the supply chain, the product side. Let us, make it easy on the software side.
Exactly.
Well, Ryan, great
That's
insight
it.
into, buying enterprise agreements from Cisco. I mean, you're so knowledgeable about this. Any other last words you want to, tell anyone listening or advice you want to give?
Well, I mean, listen, it's definitely worth a while. This has been something that, from an EA perspective, we had customers who chose not to do it, and then literally last week we got an email from a customer saying, "Please don't say I told you so." And then they came across the fact that if they were only in the EA, and they knew it, and you sort of smile at it. You're happy to know that the customer already recognizes it, and then the next time around, they said they're definitely going to go with the EA route because they just cannot continue living because of the much faster paced world we all live in. So, take advantage of these kinds of things. I mean, we have new EAs that are going to be coming out in the future. We're still working out some of the stuff
Okay.
there, but I'm telling you from
Are we allowed to know the
a
name?
security perspective. Well, we talked about the 1.0 and the 2.0.
Yeah.
So we have right now that there's the 3.0 that'll be coming out.
Ooh.
And just like anything in technology, people do not forget the fact that when something is new, we still have to work things out, right? So
Yes.
you can have your account team play with it, see if it's a good fit for
Okay.
you. But Cisco is definitely learning from the new aspects that have been put into there and trying to make sure that they polish the edges a little, right? It's a rough diamond right now, but it's going to be a beautiful diamond in the end. But I can tell you, nobody has really complained about really the Security 2.0 choice EA because
I like
of the
the
benefits.
choice. It was a good
Yeah,
structure.
it goes a lot. It goes pretty smooth, and so I would just say Tascam. It's no work to you guys because all I gotta say is that you say for 10 minutes, write an email right now to your account team and say, I need to look into this.
You're
For
right.
all you know, depending on the size of your company, that one email could save your company hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's what is happening. We have, an event that we're going to try to do for our American service provider teams in the beginning of November. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about. We have all the BUs there having their sessions. And we're going to, show them how they could take all this stuff and save a ton of money. For you, as a person who works there, and I remember on the customer side, I used to be in your shoes. If you can show how this is going to save your company money, it's going to end up making your job a whole lot easier to deploy stuff and make your team faster operationally. I have a hard time believing that you're not going to somehow get a raise out of making that kind of decision call just because you decide, you know what, I'm going to work with my account team. We're going to go through this and we're going to iron it all out, right?
Got it.
So it's a win-win-win for everyone.
Definitely. Ryan, I have to ask you one other thing. What is your favorite wine? Because I don't know if anyone sees Ryan on video, but check us out on YouTube because this will be posted on YouTube. Ryan must have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 maybe bottles of wine behind your head. So what is your favorite one? Because I see cake bread.
Oh, wow.
I saw, what else?
Well,
I saw
tend to end
some.
up liking the Cabernets.
The Cabs,
it's typically where I go to. So I was very impressed with Cliff Lady when I went to their vineyard and how they did things there. Really taught about the wines. Great taste. They got some great bottles. So if you're ever in Napa, definitely visit that place. But I also been to 5 other places on here and all some great stuff, whether it's for cooking or just also, pairing and such like that. But yeah, it's, they all have stories on this wall.
Definitely. Well, Ryan, send us the link to, the EA piece that we spoke about, and I'll put that in the notes section of the podcast. If you want to check out Ryan, or you just want to, maybe schedule 20 minutes with him to talk about EAs just from his perspective, right? And, some benefits, I'll put his LinkedIn in the notes section as well. But this is the Motivity Podcast with Danielle. Ryan, any last questions or anything you have for me? I want to thank you for taking the time today.
No, Danielle, thank you so much for this. I mean, this is amazing what you do here. I think I've listened to the other podcasts that you've done, and the knowledge here really comes off well. It's a different way of getting it out there for people. And I think that, it should be encouraged for our customers to even, sort of advertise this out to say, hey, if this is a better way that you like to listen to stuff, maybe on the road, think about that. You just by listening to this one podcast, you could possibly have this new idea of saving your company money and making your job less stressful. Just think about that one podcast. Look at all the others that Danielle has on her website there, and you'll certainly get to see that maybe you just found a few more ideas that just made your whole staff a whole lot happier at their work, right? And how they operate. So,
education is key, right? And so I think not everyone, likes to talk on the phone or reads emails, or sometimes they listen or want to watch a video. And I think that's what we're doing, right? We're trying to get the message out a little bit easier or differently, and something that you could, like you said, just do in your car, just turn it on. And Ryan, you could send this out to your clients if they just want to get maybe that 1,000-foot view of what it's like to buy an EA. And maybe we do another recording and we go through the product lines if that's the feedback we get. So, let us know if you want to take the conversation another angle. Give us feedback. We talk as we know it, but we always don't know what questions we don't ask. So if you want to hear more, just, reach out to Ryan and I. So, yeah.
And there could be a part 2 coming, right?
Right. That's what I mean. I love it.
Some of these deals, we could end up bringing the whole team on, and let's talk about everything that Ryan just said. Hypothetically, let's see how it really worked, right?
Yeah.
And then we can probably bring on some kind of example like that. But I'll be definitely sharing this with my customers and probably put it on my signature, maybe, to just try to make sure that they all get it every time, right?
I love that. So, that would be awesome. That would be such an honor, honestly. Well, thank you, Ryan. This is Danielle with the Motivity Podcast. Obviously, you can listen to this podcast anywhere you hear your podcast, Spotify, Apple, but you'll check us out on LinkedIn. We'll post it there. And like Ryan said, he might put it in his signature. I should probably put it in my signature as you say that. Why? That's probably a great idea. So I should add that. Right. I don't know why I don't, but I will do that today. But again, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, and go sell some technology and buy an EA from Cisco, especially that security one.